Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Thomas and I'll do my best to explain to you in a short and concise way why the CSR25 asset is so valuable. Now at this point you have understood the future of plastic credits in the footstep of carbon credits, and you have discovered this company, CORSAIR, which allows you to partake as a private individual or as a company in the cleanup of the planet by buying the plastic neutrality package, in return of which you will receive the corresponding plastic credit. If you order this year in 2025, you will then receive the CSR25. Now, this video is aiming for you to understand why this is a very interesting asset to own for the coming years. So let's dive in. Wonderful. So now let's understand the drivers that are pushing the price up or down so that you can make an enlightened decision regarding the value of this asset. So when we look at the market, for example, and we look at what pushes the price up, the price goes up when somebody buys. So who buys? Companies purchase to become plastic neutral. Number two, CORSAIR buys to pay the network commission. We are paid today 20% of our commission as promoters with plastic credits from the market. Number three, there is the buyback program, which is a major driver for the value that I will comment today in depth. That's 10% of the revenue of the CORSAIR group going into augmenting the demand for this asset. And finally, we have traders that want to buy for speculation. Buy cheap, sell high, the traders space. What pushes the price down? When somebody sells. So who sells? Today, the network, people who have ordered 10 months ago, 20 months ago, now they have received their plastic credit, they might be tempted to sell if they need the money or if it's right for them to do so. No problem. And then finally, traders that sold at a different price now, that bought at a different price, now they need to sell. Wonderful. So let's understand what are the predictions from my own opinion, from knowing this market and my years together with CORSAIR and in this industry. What is the midterm perspective, so 2026 to 2029, in terms of the evolution of these drivers? So let's look at them. What pushes the price up? We just saw the 4 ones. What pushes the price down? We saw the 2 ones. Let's comment one by one. Companies purchase to become plastic neutral. Regulations are getting tighter and tighter. We already have the first country, the Philippines, who made it mandatory by law. In the next 3 to 5 years, we will probably see more countries making it mandatory by law. That is what was happening at the beginning of carbon credits. However, it did take a long time for the regulatory market to open in terms of carbon credits. So for the next 3 to 4 years, I would be conservative in saying that this will be a medium push in terms of demand. Probably after that, after 2029, 2030, then it will become a strong or very strong driver when regulation make it mandatory. So that's one arrow up. Then the CORSAIR buys to pay the network commissions. I would say that because the network is growing and the momentum is starting together with this company, that is a strong demand in the coming 3 to 4 years. So I believe we can here put 2 arrows in terms of pressure to drive the price up. The buyback program, well, we need to really take the time to understand it. So let's dive into what is the buyback program, because that, in my opinion, is a major driver for the value of the CSR25. So let's look at it. What is the buyback program? The CORSAIR group commits 10% of the revenue of their activities to buy back those plastic credits from the open market at any given price. So this money will come from the oil sales. So the more factories, the more machine, the more money. The CORSAIR capital, which is the opening for the public to buy shares in the public company of CORSAIR, called CORSAIR Capital, which a part of this revenue goes into the buyback program, and other revenues like the gate fees. When CORSAIR is being paid by governments to take in the trash, they will also use 10% of that. So basically we can say 10% of all the revenues from the CORSAIR group will then be used to buy back those plastic credits. This is smart for CORSAIR because it will augment their own assets, and it's also showing that they believe in the future of their own asset and their own project. It's also, in my opinion, serving as a bridge between the now time, where it's a voluntary market, and the future time, where it's mandatory by law for companies to use plastic credits. We don't know how long can be in the between, a few years, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. The buyback will ensure that in that time there is growth of demand and thus of value. All right, so let's give a conservative estimation for the growth of the CORSAIR Group based on what has happened so far and the announcements from the CEO of the company. 2026, we should be ending up with 30 reactors in our factories, which will yield a 10% profit of about 3 million euros, and I add 500,000 for the other revenues. So basically in 2026, 3.5 million euros should be dedicated to buying back CSRs and CSR25 from the market. 27, let's assume 50 reactors with a total amount of 6 million euros for the buyback program, 10 million for 2028, 85 reactors, and 15 million euros in 2029 with 120 reactors. Again, that's conservative compared to the predictions of the company and their expected growth. So, total of 34.5 million euros going into the market for the buyback program. Now, why is this important? Because we need to put it in comparison to the past. What has happened so far when there is a buyback? So we understand the sensitivity of the market. In August 2025, the company did a buyback of about $100,000, 0.1 million, and that caused the price of the plastic credit to double. So that tells you that with 0.1 million, the price doubled. What can happen when more than 300 times this sort of impulse in the market will be seen in the coming years is up for you to decide. But we in the network, and I personally am very confident that 300 times this signal will drive the price up significantly. So the buyback is a very important driver in terms of value for this asset. So I will put it 3 arrows, very strong. Then traders buy for speculation. This is very small today. However, blockchain is going towards a global adoption and real-world asset projects are quite rare. So I expect in the coming 3 to 4 years that more and more traders will look at this very exciting blockchain project, which is connected to the real world, and see interest in its valuation. So I believe that will be a strong driver. Wonderful. Now let's look at what is going to push the price down. The network sells. I believe this will still be strong today and will still be strong in the coming years. Because of the global economy context, a lot of people are struggling today with financial abundance, with inflation, and with difficult economic situations. So I believe that unfortunately there will continuing to be people in the network selling as soon as they get their plastic credit. However, there will be a psychological factor that when all of these green arrows on the top part will start to push the price up regularly, there will be a psychological factor that makes people, they don't want to sell so much anymore. Because when you see it going up, then you're not tempted to sell anymore. The confidence keeps increasing with the project, more and more big announcements and deliveries. Nobody's doubting CORSAIR any longer. So I believe that will be first strong in the next coming year, in 2026, but then will reduce to medium. And finally, traders sell. I believe that the speculation will become mid-term instead of short-term. And as the demand grows and confidence builds, traders will see this asset as a long-term hold, so they won't sell so much. So I believe this will be medium at the beginning and then low. So here we go, guys. That's my personal analysis, not coming from the companies, coming from somebody who knows the market, who's been in the market for a few years. You can decide for yourself if you agree or not with this analysis. But my conclusion is that the CSR25 plastic credits will become a long-term hold asset class, meaning their own type of asset, with a demand backed by the industrial growth of CORSAIR and increasing regulations. The more time passes, the more and more regulations are coming in the market, making our work easier and easier. So that's my conclusion, and that's why I believe it's very interesting to be ordering through AMPLIVO CORSAIR CONNECT in 2025. And again, you want to buy and not look at the price until in 3 to 4 years. It's okay if it goes down next year because the reasons why we believe it's going to go up are here on the slide. So, like usual in business, we want to see mid-term to long-term. I hope this video was useful to you to understand why this asset is so promising. Thank you so much.